Hello everybody, it's Paula from Craftables here, and I'm just going to show you our layout that we did last week. So these are baby pages, so you can choose whichever one you want to do. This is the boy page, so we've got our little balloons and bits and pieces here, and this is exactly the same style but with the girl papers on there. So we do sell these in our shop, so that you can do either a boy or a girl. If you've purchased the kit, you'll get to choose which one that you want to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do the boy one, but if you are doing a girl one, you just do everything exactly the same except the opposite side. Okay, so this is what we're going to start off with. Okay, so we have the Kaisercraft Little Treasures papers here, and I've just got a 12 by 12 white cardstock here, and this one here is the Little Treasures boy one. So I've cut this piece down to 11 3/4 by 11 3/4, so that it's just a little bit smaller than our white paper there, so we have a little bit of a white border around it. So I'm going to measure up about an inch from the bottom here. So I'll just put my white piece out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to measure up roughly about an inch and a quarter, sorry, 1 inch from the bottom there. So just put a little pencil mark, nothing serious, and along the side as well. And I'm just going to rip between those two pieces there. So if you prefer to do a line, just do a very faint pencil line along there to give you a bit of a guide to where you're ripping. So I'm just going to rip along there. I don't want to think about it too much because otherwise I'll get upset with my ripping like some people do. So I'm just going to use my finger to guide me along that ruled line there. There we go. Okay, so this piece we want to keep. So don't throw that one away that you've just ripped off there. So I'm just going to pop it up away. And again, I'm going to measure up another 1 inch from the bottom again, just roughly again. And we're going to do the same exact thing. So we're going to rip from point to point there again, and we're just going to rip out that middle piece there. So just another light line across there. Just ripping down there. So this piece that I'm ripping out now is the one that we don't want to keep. So this piece can be put aside for something else if you want to, or you can throw it away. But it's the very first bottom piece we rip that we want to keep, because we want to have a nice gap between the two. So we can put our muslin in there. Okay, so keep that piece if you want to use it for something else, but we don't need it for this project for now. Okay, so I'm going to bring my papers back now. And I'm just going to adhere these down onto my paper there. And I'm going to have about that 1 inch gap in the centre. So I'm going to just put some tape around the outside. If you prefer glue, you can use glue. Just flip that to the back and pop some tape on here. So again, if you're doing the girl page for this one, it's exactly the same, but just opposite directions. So as we go along, I'll tell you which ways I've put my girl one. Just along there as well. Okay, so when I put this piece down, I'm just going to make sure there's that little white border from this piece here around it. So I'm not measuring anything, I'm just popping it down, I'm just eyeballing where I've got my paper, my little border around the outside of my paper there. Okay, so it's about 1/8 of an inch border around there. Okay, so as we do this one, I'm just going to put some tape around the bottom of that, and then I'm just going to come up a little bit, like 1/8 of an inch from the bottom of the white again, so that I've got about 1 inch of white showing in the middle there. So if you have drawn a line on there, now would be a good time to rub it out if you've got an eraser there. Oh, I haven't got one with me, so I'm just going to rub mine out a bit later. Okay, so this one's going to come up from the bottom just about 1/8 of an inch on the right and the left hand side, and up from the bottom as well. Okay, so it was that middle piece that we ripped out, so that's about 1 inch wide there. Okay, so we've got a bit of muslin here, so this, I don't know, it's roughly about 2 inches wide, and a bit longer than my paper there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut off that seam on this edge here, because what I want to make it very roughed up and a bit messy looking. So I'm just going to grab it in my hands, and I'm going to give it a really good rough around in my hands there. Don't be shy with it, make sure you get really, really brutal. Okay, so I want some of my cottony bits coming out, so I'm just pulling, fraying it as I go. There we go. Okay. Right, so that's really sort of messy and scrappy looking. So I'm just going to put some glue right in the middle of this white piece here, and I'm just going to put my muslin straight down into it. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that in there, so you can bunch it up a bit if you like. Make sure you're just good enough to cover your page. There we go. Awesome. So just give you a bit of a close up there. So it's not perfect, you don't want it to be perfect, we just want it to be really messy and roughed up looking there. Okay, so in your kit, if you've bought the kit, you'll have another piece of paper, which is your cut apart paper. So I've cut all these pieces out here. So I've cut out the balloon with the rabbit in, a couple of little ferny type of flowery things there. I've cut out the 3 little rabbits, and I've cut out about 5 stars, 4 or 5 stars out of that packet as well. Okay, and also there is another paper, which is this one here, which is part of the collection as well. So this is the Mother's Love one, and I've just cut out a couple of pieces out of there. So for the boy one, I've cut out Cute as a Button, which is there, and the blue baby word. So for the girl one, you could cut out anything. So for the girl one, I cut out this baby one here, and what else did I cut out? Oh, and the Precious Child one. So anything pink for the girl one. Okay. So now we've got all our bits cut out, we're going to pop those onto our layout now. So I'm going to bring the layout back in, and I'm just going to put down my balloon first. So it was a bit of a shame having to cover this over, but I really wanted the balloon on there, so I'm going to cover that over with the balloon, and I'm going to put some foam tape on there just to give it some 3D dimension on it. And I do cover it quite well with the foam tape, just because I don't want it to sag in the centre, because it does tend to do that sometimes. And I'm just going to put a little bit on that balloon piece there as well. There we go. So this one's going to go down first. So if you're doing the girl page, your balloon will go over this right hand side. And I'll just bring it back in to show you quickly. So for the boy one, we're just going to pop it over the top of that image there with our foam there. So if you're doing the girl one, I did cut out the girl balloon from there, and I've put it on the right hand side. So the boy was on the left and the girl's on the right there. Okay. Okay, so our next piece that we're going to pop on are these 2 little pieces here. So I'm just going to put these on with a little bit of glue. So one of them is going to sort of stick around the bottom of the basket, and that one's going to go around the bottom as well. So I'm just putting a little bit of glue on the bottom of those there. So just use the bottom of the basket as a guide to where you're sticking them. That's it. Can't pick it up. There we go. And this one's just going to go around the bottom the basket too. So I've got this one about up to the right a little bit more. Okay, so those 2 are put down there. So again, you do the same thing on the girl page, but you're just doing it on the opposite side. So there's our little ferny things there, our little fern bud things there. So they're exactly the same as on the girl one. If you want to, you could put a bit of foam tape underneath these bits here just to stop them flipping around. But once they're in your page protector, they're usually pretty good. Okay, so for the flowers, these are the Kaisercraft iceberg ones. Now, they don't sit very flat on your page, so what I've done is I've pulled down about 3 layers of the petals there, and I've just grabbed that middle bit. So I've got 3 layers of petals coming down, and I've just grabbed that middle bit, and I'm just going to twist it, don't pull it out of the middle. There we go. I'm just going to pull it out as well. So now that's a wee bit flatter, and I've got a little bling that I'm going to pop in the centre of it just to get rid of that middle bit there. So it keeps in sequence with the colours, but I didn't want it to be that bulky, so I've just pulled that little chubby piece out in the middle there, throw that away. So I'm going to do the same with this one. So count down about 3 petals, just grab that middle piece, and twist and pull it to get it out. If you're finding the twisting a little bit, or the pulling a little bit difficult, just get your scissors in there and cut it out. Okay, so we've got a couple of leaves and petals there still. So I'm just going to pop another one of my bling in the middle of that one. And it just keeps the colours the same sort of coordination as the ones on the paper then. Right, so these are going to glue down just over the top of those flowery buds there, and we're just going to use a bit of glue to pop on there. So I use quite a bit just to make sure they don't fall off there. And this one. That one's going to go down a little bit off the bottom. There we go. Right, so that's the boy one. So the girl one is exactly the same, but again on the opposite side. So we've got the balloon, we've got the little flower buds there, and we've got the 2 flowers which we've pulled the middle out of as well, and just put a bling in the centre. Okay, so we've now got the little rabbits. So I've cut out the 3 rabbits there, and I'm just going to put a bit of foam tape on the back of those, and I'm going to stick these down along the bottom here. Put my rabbit up the right way. I'm just going to put little bits along those edges that I've got a bit more space to use there. And on that ear there. And on this little tushy. So this one I'm going to put down on that bottom right hand corner. For the girl one, I've also put it down on that right hand corner as well. Okay. So I'm just going to take the foam tape off the back there and pop that down. So just along that bottom piece there, like that. So this little cutie here, I'm going to use foam tape for as well, and I'm just going to put him right down by his mum there, so he looks like he's asking to be picked up, which I think is super cute. So just another bit of foam tape on the back there again. I'm just going to put a tiny bit more on his ear. So he's going to face up by his mum to ask for a cuddle. Here we go. So for the girl one, I've done the same thing again. Okay, so we've got on the boy one, we've got them on this side, and the girl one, we've got them on that side as well. So the last bunny rabbit's going to go on that left-hand side. So he's going to go next to our little balloon. So foam tape again on the back. On his ear there as well. Awesome, so he's going to go just down the bottom. So the girl one is exactly the same for the rabbits. Okay, so just down the bottom. Okay, so now what we've got to do is we've got in our kit, we've got this little cotton bud here. You could use the cotton balls or a cotton bud. I'm just going to pull some of the fluff off there, roll it into a bit of a ball, and I'm going to just pop that on the little rabbits for its fluffy tail. So there's one, and I'm going to do another little one over this side. So again, I'm just going to pull some of the fluff off there. Don't want too much because he's only a little one. Just going to pull some more off there, give her a slightly bigger fluffy tail. There we go, so now they've got their little fluffy tails on. Right, so if you've got a kit there, we have already cut these frames out for you. Now I will give you the measurements if you haven't got the kit going. So the measurements are, oops, so the outside of the frame is 3.5 by 5.25, and then I've just measured in 1/4 of an inch on these, the left top and right side, and then how much will come in from the bottom? 1 inch up from the bottom, so that you're going to cut that square out in the middle. Okay, so 1/4 of an inch on these sides, 1 inch from the bottom, and then cut that square out. So this will fit a 3x4 photo. Now I don't have any photos with me, so in order to put this on my layout still, what I'm just going to do is put a bit of tape just down the bottom so that I can actually pull this off or slip a photo underneath when I'm ready to put them on there. So I'm just going to pop this one on a bit of an angle just there, and my other one is going to go on a bit of an angle this way. So for the girl layout you would do pretty much the same thing, but you're just going to go the opposite direction. Okay. I'm just going to pop this one just along there, like that. So I've left all this open just so I can slip a photo in there later if I want to. If you've already got your photos, then just go ahead and stick those onto the back of the frame and then pop them onto your layout. Okay, nearly done. So for the last few things we want to do is just put our little stars and our baby pieces on. So this little baby one here, I've just popped on to the bottom frame there, so I'm just going to glue that down. Just so it's slightly coming off there. And I have cut out 5 little stars here, which is on the paper that you've got in your kit as well. So I'm just going to pop those onto here. So I'm not going to use foam tape or anything, I'm just going to use a little bit of glue. So pop on there. So don't forget, if you've got photos to put on still, not to glue these down, so that, see, this one would go right over the top of my photo there, so if you can see on this one. I would put that on top of my photo, but because I don't have a photo, I'm just going to pop it onto the frame. Okay. You could put a lot of stars on or a few stars, it's totally up to you. On there, and I'm just going to do my little one up in the corner there. Oops. There we go. Okay, so there's our little stars. So you do the same on the girls one as well, just on the frames there. Okay, so we're just going to come back in now, and we're going to do this little piece up in the corner here. So I'll give you the measurements as I go, but in your kit you'll have a piece of blue and a piece of white, blue paper and white cardstock. So I've got mine already cut out, so I'll give you the measurements. Okay, so this little blue piece here is going to measure 1 inch by 3 inches. So if you want to cut a little piece of blue to 1 inch by 3 inches, then I'm going to cut another piece of white cardstock that's 1 1/8 of an inch by 3 1/8 of an inch. So it's a little bit bigger. So you've got that white border. So I'm just going to pop those two together. There we go. So we've got that white border around the outside. Right, so that one's going to get stuck to that top right hand corner. So for the girls one, they'll be in the top left hand corner there. So I'm just going to glue that down. Okay, so now we're going to make a fishtail piece. So this little bit here is a bit of a fishtail. So that piece there I've cut to measure, oops, wrong way around. That one's 2 inches by 1.5. So 1.5 by 2 inches, and I'm actually just going to fold, just gently fold the 2 points together like that. So don't crease it there. And I'm just going to cut on a diagonal, and that'll give me a nice even fishtail on there. Okay, so that one's just going to go right up there underneath our blue and white one there. So I'm just going to glue that down. Okay. And we also want to pop a little tag on there. So you could do a little bit of writing or an age or a date or anything on this little tag here. So this tag is what we're doing now. So you do the same thing on the girl one. So we've got our pink with the white, and then we've got the little fishtail one there. And now we're going to do the tag as well. So for the tag, you want a piece of white cardstock that measures 1.25 by 1 3/4. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure down 1/4 inch on this side here. So down the long side, I'm just going to measure 1/4 inch and make a pencil mark like that. And then I'm going to do the same 1/4 inch along the top here, and just draw a line between the two, and that's going to give you a nice even cut on that side. So I'm just going to cut that off. Now don't take that piece there away. In order to get this side exactly the same as that one, I'm actually going to flip it over, pop it up in that corner nice and tight, and then I'm going to use that as a guide to cut my next piece. So that'll give you a very even tag corners. Okay, so that one's just going to get glued down there over the top. Just over the top there, so it's slightly off the fishtail and off the little banner on the top there. And then, oh, there it is. So my cute as a button is just going to go on there like that. So it's got that little frame around it. So the girl one has the little precious child one on there. So I'm just going to glue that one down as well. Just like that. And I have one of my little blings left, so I'm just going to pop a little bling up there in the corner like that, just to give it a bit of colour. Yep, so that's the girl one there on the corner there, so that's on the left hand side, that one's on the right hand side. So that's pretty much it. I'm just going to tie a little bow to put onto my balloon there. So for me, when I do bows, I just get 2 loops, so 2 big loops like that, and I've got quite a bit of a gap between the 2 loops along here, and I'm just going to cross them over and fold that into the hole and pull. So they can be a little bit uneven, but then you can just pull backwards and forwards to get a good bow in there. Okay, so I'm just going to cut those tails off a wee bit, and then I'm just going to glue my bow. Actually, my bow's upside down. So I'm just going to glue my bow onto my balloon right there. So you do the same for the girl as well. Oh, it goes a bit funny. It's better. There we go. So that is our page for our little boy and our little girl. So I hope you have fun doing it, and I'll just show you the girl one again. So the same for the girl one, but everything's on the opposite side there. Awesome. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you give it a try. And of course, again, we love seeing what you come up with on our Craft Communities Facebook page. So if you do anything exciting, come and show us, and we will ooh and ah over it and get all excited. Thanks very much for joining me, everyone. I will see you next week.